Hello and welcome to the Lorefield podcast, episode 5, working on title again. I'm your co-host Yzra, and I'm with my other co-host Mitch.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the recent Starfield news drop, which is very exciting, and yeah, let's get into it.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm excited. It was a really good month. Our last episode had a lot of good reception, so thank you to everybody who had some good feedback for us and stuff. That was really appreciated. If I don't sound right, by the way, I have a bit of the sniffles, so getting over that, so forgive me. But some cool stats I wanted to share just about the last month for Lorefield. We had more posts in the last month than any other single month period in Lorefield's history, so a lot of growth. We had the biggest spike in new subscribers not seen since the community first started, and we had more listens to last podcast episode than any since the pilot. And that was probably because people like Oda. But it was still really cool. So thank you everybody for the support. I love this little community we're building, and yeah, I'm excited to do another monthly podcast.
So on to the news. On September 30th, which was a little bit after we recorded, we said it was October, but we lied. So Todd Howard appeared at the Tokyo Game Show to announce that Starfield will have full Japanese localization, and it contains 150,000 lines of dialogue and over 300 voice actors. I was wondering what you think about that, and like
Yeah,
anything to add to that.
yeah, that's super exciting. Xbox has been trending in that direction for a while. They've been localizing more games for Japan and trying to grow their presence there. Um, as for the news about 150,000 lines of dialogue, that is mind-blowing. I looked up like a list of um, like other games with huge amounts of dialogue, voice to dialogue, and there are a lot of JRPGs that exceed 100,000 lines, but GTA 5 had about the same number, 150,000, and Red Dead Redemption 2 reportedly has 500,000, but apparently that's kind of a half truth because a lot of the lines were recorded 3 times based on how far away the person speaking is from Arthur, the player. So basically, 150,000 lines is a ridiculous amount of lines. Um, and if we don't have a voiced protagonist, then it's an even bigger amount. But yeah, that was mind blowing. And then 300 voice actors. Bethesda's been on a trend of roughly doubling how many voice actors they use in every game since Oblivion. They went from 12 in Oblivion to somewhere between 30 and 40 for Fallout 3, about 70 for Skyrim, about 140 for Fallout 4, and now they have over 300. So don't expect 600 for Test 6. I think they might stop the pattern after this game, but still, that's really impressive and good to see because even Fallout 4 had a lot of repeating voices that were noticeable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like 300. I know there's games that have had more, I think, but for like BGS, that's like an insanely huge jump.
Yeah, exponential. The amount of money that must take is crazy. And I just try to like picture 300 people in my head. Like there were 120 people in my graduating class. So I can't really imagine 300 people. Um, but yeah, this was great news. And it got a lot of people really excited. I noticed a lot of people who weren't already in Starfield circles were pretty hyped by that news, and which was their intention, I'm sure, but still good to see.
Yeah, definitely. And then if you're alright with me to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
Okay, so on October 21st, a new Starfield video dropped. Ooh. Called The Settled System. And in it, Emil, design director for Bethesda Game Studios, makes another appearance to narrate over the concepts, both old and new. Which, I don't know. What do you think about it?
Well, the one thing that got me excited before I even watched the video was that now we have a pattern. So we've gotten 2 of these sets of videos. 3 of them came out at once. We had Into the Starfield of E3. Now we have this new one, um, which dropped about a month ago. Or no, I'm sorry, about a week ago. So now that we have 3, there's a pattern. So if they're coming out about every 2 months, then we should expect one around the end of the year, if not very early next year. So maybe 3 or 4 more video drops before E3. That's a good amount, I think, especially with how dense they've been. So yeah, I was happy to get the pattern and happy to hear Emil's voice again. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's really good. You can, he's very excited, and he actually calls the galaxy our solar system, which is I find is funny. Like he even corrected himself on Twitter. It feels genuine. It's like he just woke up that morning and he didn't have his coffee or something.
I love that. Yeah, I was honestly surprised that that flub, as Emil called it, made it through like post-production and everything. Like when they were editing, no one noticed. It's because for the nerds who pay way too much attention to that stuff like us, that was a pretty big error, but whatever, he clarified it and we all know what he meant, so no harm done.
I think everyone at Bethesda was skipping a morning coffee that day.
I think so. Must have been Monday. He also said that the game is set in 2330. We have a date, and we have a setting too, a location. It's in a pocket of the Milky Way that extends outward from our solar system for approximately 50 light years. So, the one thing that has been big debate is whether that is a radial measurement. So if it's like all the stars like 50 light years out from the Sol, or if it's a cluster of stars that are 50 light years away, and the actual like diameter of the systems you'll be playing in is a lot smaller than 100 light years. I don't know if I'm making sense, but people were a little confused by that. The graphic indicated that it was the latter, where it's a smaller cluster of stars that are all about 50 light years away. But yeah, I wasn't sure. Where do you fall in there?
And we've kind of got like I mean, we have that document we saw, but then it's assuming. I don't know. I think it's cool, but I'm not smart enough to figure these things out.
Yeah, I don't know. When I first heard it, I was thinking radius 50 light years because the way he worded it, he said it's in a pocket of the Milky Way that extends outward from our solar system for approximately 50 years, 50 light years. So I don't know. It almost what Emil said almost conflicted with the graphic, and I think people are just kind of picking which one they want to believe. Personally, I'm going with what Emil said over the visual graphic, but it's perfectly fair to go with the other one. Time will tell, but yeah, who knows? And by the way, if you'll recall back to E3 this year when we got the Into the Starfield video, there was that little watch case. There's a real watch, and in the case it said established 2188 for Constellation. So since we have that date and we have when the game takes place, we know that Constellation is 142 years old when the game takes place. So this begs the question, okay, in the 2018 teaser, we're going to get really deep into the weeds. In the 2018 teaser, there's a warp at the end, probably like jumping to light speed or some wormhole opened or something. So why is it, if we have that kind of technology, that we've only advanced 50 light years in 142 years? Shouldn't we go way faster than that or way farther in way less amount of time?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of, I mean, yeah, it's a long way like for us today, but it seems small for science fiction.
Yeah, I would have expected if we're able to open wormholes and like go wherever we want, why are we still in this little pocket of the Milky Way? That makes me think that we've colonized these additional stars through like regular propulsion over a long period of time, sub light speed, probably close to it, like 75%. But still, I'm not convinced that we've achieved like warp travel whenever we want. I think what the teaser might have been indicating with that warp was maybe like part of the main story. Like we find, remember those ruins in the that were drawn in the 2021 trailer? Maybe that thing when you do too much with it, it causes a warp, and that's our first contact with extraterrestrial technology, and it happens to be a wormhole or something.
I always looked at that 2018 teaser as, what if it's an accident? I don't know why I've always thought that. I just thought maybe we discover it by accident because
Yeah,
we still don't know when the well, no, not the teaser, sorry, the announcement trailer, because people always call it a teaser trailer. It's technically it's called an announcement trailer, but I don't know. That's what I always assumed when I started looking into it, but who knows?
yeah. There's still a lot of questions. That's the thing. All of these new videos that they're putting out, they do answer some questions, but then they raise so many more. It's fun though. I love speculating.
Yeah, same.
The one bit of evidence on this, like radial versus like um, distant 50 light year thing, this debate, because of the letter that Emma was typing in the same Into the Starfield video, which we'll be talking about later on, it's confirmed that Alpha Centauri is in the game. Alpha Centauri is 4.37 light years away. So that would indicate this is a radial measurement, which means Sol might be in the game, as was heavily rumored for a while. So it it contradicts the graphic, but yeah, 4.37 light years is nowhere near 50. So I don't think you can round that to 50 to make it, the distance argument. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting bit of evidence.
Also in the video, we learn that in 2310, which is 20 years before the game takes place, two of the largest factions in the game, the United Colonies and the Three Star Collective, waged a bloody war called the Colony War. The cause and outcome of the war is unknown. The two factions now maintain an unsteady peace, and we see their logos, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Which one did you like better?
I'm going to be biased and say the United Colonies.
Okay. UC scum.
I know, right?
No, I liked the Freestar Collective logo. I think it appealed to my American soul. Um, with it's a bird figure with its wings spread, kind of like a bald eagle, and its beak is pointed up toward a star. I just thought that was really cool. Um, yeah, it very much appealed to my American identity. UC's logo is pretty cool too, though. So while Emil's doing all this talking, there are new visuals too. We got 6 new concept arts. I think we'll just dissect them in the order that they appeared in the video, if that's all right with you.
Yep, yeah, that's cool.
So while Emil is talking about the game and dropping all this juicy lore, there were also new concept arts appearing on the screen. We got 6 new ones from this video, very healthy amount. So I think we'll just go through them in the order they appear in the video and break them down because there's some cool stuff in here. So the first one is all but confirmed to be of New Atlantis. The trees that appear in this one are the same ones that appear outside New Atlantis in the other one. This one, it looks way different than the other one. The city is a lot brighter. It seems more utopian, I think. It reminded me a little of Bespin, Cloud City from Star Wars. You got these little birds over the side. It's huge. There's so many things to talk about in this one. The flying ships are another one. What really jumped out at you when you first saw it?
It looks like paradise.
It does.
I don't know if you know what it looks like, but if Tess wasn't fantasy, this is what I'd imagine the Clockwork City would be like. Because that's like a technological kind of paradise kind of thing. Like going into Tesla here, but that's kind of like what it looks. It looks like a paradise.
Yeah, I love the water feature that's on the right side, and it has those birds. There was some speculation that those birds might be robots. The way they're painted, they kind of look like they could be. Um, I think that is just the artist's style, because if you look at the people that are on the other side, they have that same kind of metallic look to them. So I think those are organic birds. If Bethesda gives us the same level of freedom they always have and lets us go anywhere in that city and do anything, I can't wait. That looks amazing.
It does. It looks like I say. It's literally like a perfect paradise. Well, I'm saying perfect now, but I was drawing comparisons to Clockwork. So this is just beautiful.
Yeah, the second one is a little below paradise, I would say. Um, but that's okay. It's still really cool. This one is confirmed to be neon, and it's kind of a street level market. This is once again, it's very Star Warsy. Pretty much all of them are. This also had a little sprinkling of cyberpunk to it. There's a vendor on the left side who's wearing really cool goggles, by the way, who is selling squids. And if you'll recall, in Neon, there are fish that produce Aurora, the psychoactive drug. So she's probably selling Aurora to people on a kebab.
God damn, the drugs have made it onto the streets.
The other thing I love about this one is that it has plenty of familiar elements that we see in the real world. It has power lines, a fire escape staircase up at the top, an air conditioning unit on the wall. But then it also has some unique things that give it that futuristic style. Like the color palette is not something you really see too much on Earth. The fashion styles, the neon lights, no pun intended. It's kind of this mishmash of things we're familiar with and things we aren't, and that makes it really, really cool. And by the way, if you're listening to the audio podcast, on the YouTube video for the podcast, we have the images on the screen as we're breaking them down. So if you're left a little confused by hearing us talking about things you can see them on YouTube. Just if you're able, just don't be driving. Don't stay on
Yeah,
the audio version if you're driving, please.
yeah. Be very responsible.
One other thing I liked, and wanted to point out about this neon art, the little corridor that it's taken from. I was thinking about where else in Bethesda games we've seen a real tight space like that outside. And the one thing that came to my mind was in Diamond City, outside of Nick Valentine's office. It's about the same width. It's dirty, it's cramped, same kind of vibe. The difference here is that there's way, way more detail than there is in Diamond City. So I think this is a really good kind of one-to-one comparison of the Bethesda of the past and the one of the future and present. Also, Ravid pointed out to me on Discord, shout out, Ravid, that the woman on the right side who is smoking, she has tattoos that are like fluorescent, they're glowing in the dark. So is that maybe a character customization option?
That
What do
could
you
be
think?
that could be interesting. I don't. How are they going to do customization? Because how they've done it previously is before Skyrim you couldn't do it. I don't think. But in Skyrim, in the first DLC, they added someone who could sculpt your face. You couldn't change your race or your gender, but you could, change your face completely. As long as you weren't a werewolf or vampire, of course. And then Fallout 4 had full facial surgery. And in 76, you can just change your character on the fly, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I also wonder mechanically what customizing your face will look like because Fallout 4, a big selling point was that there's no sliders. You just select a part of the face and sculpt, which was cool. It's cool on paper. In practice, uh, I find myself preferring Skyrims usually, uh, or Oblivions if I want to make them look goofy. But yeah, I wonder if the sculpting thing is going to stick around, or maybe you'll have the option to do both.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them doing how 76 does it, because it makes sense in Fallout 76. Because there's no, you know, there wasn't NPCs when it launched. And I don't know how long that feature's been there. I think it's a feature anyway. I remember seeing it.
Yeah,
But
I think that's been in there since launch because of the photo mode.
yeah, by the way, side note, I hope that returns.
Photo mode,
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I have a little theory, and there's no evidence, that Vasco might be. Well, actually, there's a little bit of evidence, but not really. That Vasco might be the photo mode. Like, you can go in
Oh,
scouts and you can, like, take photos of them and stuff.
that is so cool. I hope you're right.
Yeah, and I basically based it off. You've got, like, three different photos in the teaser trailer of Vasco. and they look like selfies to me anyway.
Oh,
But I could be wrong, of course.
yeah. Those little postcard things. I think at the very least those tease a photo mode. Why else would they be there?
Yeah, I mean, I really hope so because it's a good photo mode, like the poses and stuff.
Yeah, hopefully they add it. Another thing, I keep thinking more things. Um, the letters that are above the vendor, they're on both sides of the street actually in this neon art. I looked up every alphabet in the world because I have too much time on my hands, and I tried to find out what this looks the most like. It's definitely a fictional alphabet, but it in style resembles the Greek alphabet more than any other. So take that as you will. I will be looking forward to the explanation for why we abandoned the current alphabet for the fictional one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At street level, right in front of, I don't know if that's the player or if the perspective is just close behind somebody, but the person in front of them is wearing his jacket, and on the back of the jacket, I think is a new faction logo that we haven't seen before. I thought at first that it was an Ecliptic Mercenary, and then Oda kindly pointed out to me that we've already seen the Ecliptic's logo, so that's not it. But it kind of looks like an eclipse, and there's like a tower coming up in front of the eclipse, and there's another thing at the top. I don't know, but that is it does have some significance. So I'm excited to find out what that's representing. Emil then starts to talk about the human threats in Starfield, and as I mentioned before, the Ecliptic Mercenaries. This is the human, first new human concept art we see, like just armor. These, the Ecliptic Mercenary. I keep thinking of things from Star Wars. I thought of Death Troopers from Star Wars when I saw the Ecliptic Mercenary. Uh, was there anything that jumped out at you when you first saw it?
That visor, it's like got blue LEDs. It's like it's well armored as well. That's another thing I'll say.
Yeah, it looks like a snowboarding helmet.
It does, yeah.
And what's even further in line with that, is that a GoPro clip on the forehead?
Is this like a future blogger or something?
Might be. I don't know. Constellation got to be entertained somehow. The one other cool thing to note about this Ecliptic Mercenary was pointed out by user K4TS119 on Reddit. And on the right gauntlet of this person is, it looks like a railgun attached to their wrist. So are they going to be like the gunners? They're going to be tough to fight.
I don't know if I see the railgun.
It, I think it's that like jagged thing right above the wrist. It's not on the other side.
I'll probably be editing this and go, oh,
Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. But there is this black like strip right over the back of this person's right wrist that doesn't seem to be on the left.
I mean, if you ask me, it looks like their right arm, which is on the screen, it'll be the left.
Hmm.
Um, it looks like part of the arm's mechanical. So I don't want to jump the gun here, but like an exo kind of suit.
I could see it. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's a thing that looks like a joint. It looks like an Xbox logo to me right now, but I know it's not. But it's fun to think about. Xbox and Starfield confirmed.
The uh the next one I think might be my favorite armor concept art we've seen yet. This is a violent spacer, as described by Emil. The one thing I immediately thought is that this one looks very similar in build to the modern SpaceX spacesuits. I know those metallic wrist like clips that keep the gauntlets attached to the bodysuit are used by SpaceX. Those are very similar to the real life things. And then what's kind of funny is that there's an oxygen hose near the torso that is tied by a zip tie so that it doesn't get in the way of the spacer's arm. Just a cool little detail.
It it gives it that grounded feel to me, like the including of something like a zip tie. It's like a person made this.
Yeah,
I
it's
will.
almost something you'd expect to see in Fallout. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. I think the helmet is overkill. Because I think the way I see the helmet is there's no need for the explosion on the top of the helmet. It's just the face that you need to see you out of. The whole thing being, I don't know. I think that's his personal taste. So, but I do also like the wearing the cap. You know, like easiest way to explain it is with Fallout. In Fallout 4, the Brotherhood of Steel, like Dance wears that helmet. Not that helmet. You know, like that hood thing.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. Like
Oh, okay.
underneath the glass bit on the top,
Yeah.
and he's also got a flashlight on the helmet as well.
Good catch. I missed that. LED, I think. 6 of them. So after we see the armor concept arts, we get 2 more locations. Oh, and by the way, we also saw a Crimson Fleet space pirate alongside the Spacer and the Ecliptic Mercenary. We're not talking about the Crimson Fleet pirate because we already broke that down in another episode. That wasn't a new concept art. But after that, we see a new planet unknown. This one looks like it looks crazy. um, it has these vertical rock structures that you commonly see in parts of the western United States. I did a bit of research about those, and they are called hoodoos, Hoodoos. And hoodoos, this is straight from Wikipedia. Hoodoos typically form in areas where a thick layer of a relatively soft rock, such as mudstone, poorly cemented sandstone, or consolidated volcanic ash, is covered by a thin layer of hard rock, such as well-cemented sandstone, limestone, or basalt. In glaciated mountainous valleys, the soft eroded material may be glacial till, with the protective capstones being large boulders in the till. Over time, cracks in the resistant layer allow the much softer rock beneath to be eroded and washed away. Hoodoos form where a small cap of the resistant layer remains and protects a cone of the underlying softer layer from erosion. The heavy cap pressing downward gives the pedestal of the hoodoo its strength to resist erosion. With time, erosion of the soft layer causes the cap to be undercut, eventually falling off, and the remaining cone is then quickly eroded. So there's some insight into how those weird rock formations probably formed. And yeah, I love this one. The fog kind of makes me think the atmosphere might be poisonous. Maybe that's pure speculation, but yeah, what did you think about this one?
It's giving me like the concept of the crab like creature thing. I have
Yes.
a theory that it might be the same planet by like the rocks and stuff, but of course rocks will probably exist everywhere.
No, I could see that for sure.
But like this is a different part of the planet, possibly. It
Right.
it looks cool. It looks like they've literally just gone to a bunch of deserts and you know for inspiration and stuff. And also, I've noticed there's a lot of lens flares. I think they're lens flares. Like you can see,
Yes.
yeah,
Mm,
you can see the sun in the background. I think it's the sun. I don't know if you see it.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's lens flares or if the rocks are actually blue. It's what I'm having a hard time figuring out. Because if those
Feel like
aren't lens flares, that blue might be some sort of crystal. Maybe I don't know. I'm conflicted on if it's lens flare or not.
where do you mean?
Now, if you look at the image as a whole, it looks like there's a bunch of lens flares. But if you look into it, it looks like there's blue on different parts of rocks, and the blue kind of looks like a crystal. To me, it looks like a
Yeah.
crystal.
Yeah. I definitely see that too. Yeah, that's what I was thinking might be like if you think about how like planet's crust is built over millions of years, it's these tiny, tiny layers. So if we get to that bluish part, what would like cause the entire planet to be covered in like a crystal? Would it be a huge volcanic eruption or
It. I'm not a expert on this stuff, but I know gems and stuff are formed by pressure under the earth. In on Earth anyway.
Hmm.
And I think that all applied to other planets. So unless there's some sort of heat or pressure going on, that is if it's, crystals and it's not like a flare kind of thing making it look blue.
Hmm.
But
I think
then you've
it's
got the uh,
sorry, I was just gonna say that I think it's so defined that it's probably different material, like a crystal
yeah,
or something. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, you're good. Yeah, this one's conflicting me. It's the one image I can't make my mind up about. But like with that said, there can't be that much. If it's the case, there can't be that much pressure because the player's on it with the basic suit. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think one thing that is clear is that it does not look safe to breathe without the helmet.
Yeah, it looks pretty harsh. Like humans can't even last very long in the desert with no water or any equipment.
I wonder how they'll treat that from a gameplay perspective. Like, do you start taking damage if you take off your spacesuit? Like, how's that gonna work?
Well, they're kind of going for realism, so I don't know unless you have like a heat monitor, and you have to try and get in shade to like not overheat. I don't know. Some players might be turned off by that, but I don't know. It'd be interesting gameplay wise,
Yeah, definitely. And the atmosphere could even be toxic.
because I know there's going to be speedrunners that do a no suit run,
No suit run.
and they're
Oh,
going to
that's
have
funny.
no oxygen, no nothing. They're just going to speed run the game with no suit. They're going to take it off as soon as they can, and this is providing it's possible to do that, which they're gonna find some form of way to do it. But that's all I can picture in my head. There's gonna be no suit runs, and that's a bit off topic, I know, but I'm just picturing it. Speed run, speed run category for Starfield, and no suit run.
Agility and endurance up to 10. Everything else is 0.
Yeah, you see them like bunny hopping around the planet wearing nothing.
Um, so that is a really cool art. I think that's pretty much all there is to talk about with it. I think we might have saved the best for last. This one has generated a lot of buzz from people. People are really excited about this one. It is a giant ship graveyard the player overlooking. It's kind of a dead, really a Fallout looking type of environment. And yeah, people were really excited about it. It's this giant freighter type ship. It's kind of half buried in the ground. And a couple people pinged me on Discord. I don't know if people remember, but I posted a couple months ago this big long examination about how big the building was in New Atlantis. And I came to a pretty decent estimate and I provided some side by side images for scale and stuff. People asked me to do the same thing for this ship. And I was looking at it and trying to find like a reference for like how, because you need a reference. You can't just look at it and get a mathematical estimate. You need something next to it where that you know how tall it is, and then you can like extrapolate. But anyway, so I was looking at it trying to find a reference, and then I realized Vasco is standing right next to the ship. So I went back to the E3 trailer and tried to figure out how tall Vasco is. And there was one scene where Vasco walks up the ramp into the ship, and for a brief moment, Vasco is standing in the same space that the player was standing in earlier in the trailer. So I looked at that and using how much space was between their head and the ceiling, I figured that they are actually about the same height. I think Vasco is about 6 feet tall. So then I just did a simple pixel measurement of Vasco, a pixel measurement of the ship, and then I divided them. And I figured the ship is about 75 feet tall, which is equivalent to a 7-story building. So quite tall. I'll be making Reddit posts with visual references and stuff, but I wanted to drop that on the podcast. So TLDR, the ship is enormous. Yeah. Do you think we'll get to explore it?
I really hope so. Now, I did say I hate shipwrecks and I hate the noise they make. This is not underwater, but I'm still gonna be terrified of it. But if we can explore it, I'd love that. I'd love it and hate it, especially if it makes the noise. If it makes that noise, I'm gonna mute the audio while I'm playing the game. Unless it's a lore video, then I'd have to endure the horrible noise.
It probably will have that kind of old, like twisted metal sound echoing throughout while you're walking around it. I was really, I said it already, but I'm so jarred at how much this looks like Fallout.
Yes, it looks like glowing sea concept.
Yeah,
That's something I've seen pointed out, and I forget who said it. But that is literally the vibe I'm getting.
yeah. And could it be possible that this is the same planet as the last one?
Maybe it looks a bit barren, but because this planet looks like it had plant life at some point, like in the, um, is it the foreground? Is that the word?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It looks like there was life. I mean, like tree life or something. But with the other one, it looks like there weren't any plants or anything in the desert. But
Um,
in the other concept, it didn't look like there was anything like that. But with this, it's got like, well, they, to me, they look like trees, or what once were trees. So I don't know.
I absolutely agree. Now that you mention it, yeah, there it looks like there was life before all of these giant ships fell out of the sky. So, those are probably different planets. Um, but once you said that, new theory popped in my head. You see those mountains in the back left? Um, yeah, real tall mountains, pretty faint.
Yeah, yeah. See that mountain? You can climb it.
Well, yeah, I hope we can climb it. Those look like they might be snow-capped.
Congratulations, you've sold us Skyrim again.
Todd, you did it again. But the what I'm wondering is if those are snow-capped mountains, is this where Aquila is?
That could be actually really interesting. If I mean, it's all speculation, but I don't know. Possibly.
It looks like it could match up. Like if you were to go to those mountains and climb over them, on the other side could be Aquila City, based on what we've seen of Aquila. So that is very heavy speculation. So don't take it as fact. But I'm gonna believe that for now.
Does that mean we're gonna have to fight the Ashtar here as well?
That's what I was thinking. I really hope so. That'll be like a horror game if they're in the corridors and stuff of the ship.
My hope is, as if they've tweaked the AI. Imagine if like you're being hunted by Ashtar and they're being really smart and they like try and surround you tactically. That, in my opinion, that'd be amazing because it put you on your feet a little bit.
For
Like you've
sure.
just seen something run by, say if they're fast, you've seen something run by, and like I don't want to overhype myself or anything, but that's kind of what I'm hoping is they're not just deadly, they're quite smart as well.
I think the AI would need a tweak to make that really special. But just thinking back to Fallout 4, the AI as it is then kind of can evoke that same feeling of, oh my gosh, there's a pack of these things and they're about to murder me. Mole rats, when you got five of them popping up from different places and they're all coming at you from different directions, feels like they're working together to kill you. So yeah, you're right that the AI should be improved to make that pack hunting really authentic. But I think it's not as steep of a challenge that might sound at first. So hopefully they can pull it off. I think they can.
If they imagine if they brought back Radiant AI and they incorporated that into the enemy AI for like Ashtar and stuff,
That would be cool.
because that would make them a bit more unpredictable.
That would be
The
amazing.
yeah, because the
Sorry.
like the Ashtar can interpret attack the player as multiple things.
What I started thinking when you said that was like, holy crap. Okay. So you go to an Ashta den. Okay. Let's say you save the game in Aquila City and you walk across the wall up into the mountains just to find some Ashta. Okay. The first time you see them, they might be hunting for food. The second time you walk up there, maybe they're sleeping in the den. Third time, maybe they're fighting another pack of Ashta. Like if they have radiant AI like the people do in their in their older games. That would be crazy. Like the wild creatures having the same intelligence. I won't go too far down that path because it's a whole rabbit hole, but that is really exciting to think about. I hope they do it. So this conversation got me super hyped, and I think this is probably my favorite one. How about you? What was your favorite?
I've got to say the paradise looking planet, which we think is New Atlantis, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, the expansiveness of that one really gets me hyped.
The second one looks like Cyberpunk, and a lot of people are saying that.
Yeah, it does. Cannot wait to play this game. By the way, this is the last podcast where we will be recording that is greater than 1 year away from Starfield's release. Just a fun fact.
And then after E3, hopefully, we're moving the show to weekly or bi-weekly until launch, and
Yeah.
you'll be hearing our voices a lot more and more frequently.
Lucky you guys. But yeah, I think we said that in the pilot, but we have a much different audience than we did in the pilot, I'm sure. So yeah, it's good to say that again. We'll be monthly until E3 next year, and then we'll be either weekly or bi-weekly from then until launch. That'll depend on how much info Bethesda puts out. And then after launch, I think we'll be weekly.
Yeah.
So with all that fun breaking down of the concept arts, I love doing that. It sucks up so much time, but that's good. Longer the better. There was one Reddit post on Lorefield. It was hands down. We had a lot of posts this month, like I said at the top of the show. This one was my favorite. So North Image 3550 pointed out that in the letter in the Into the Starfield video, which we talked about earlier as well, it's implicitly confirmed that several systems are part of United Colony space. This is not really a small deal. So it says at the very beginning, it says, please be on alert. Pirates of the Crimson Fleet have extended far beyond the Crix system and have established footholds in the Sagan, Cheyenne, Lunara, and Narlon systems. Both SysDef and the Vanguard are committed to ridding United Colony space of these parasites. Getting ahead of myself. So what that implies, ridding United Colony space of these parasites, that has to be those systems we just mentioned. So Sagan, Cheyenne, Lunara, and Narlon systems. North Image's post was awesome. There was one small point where I slightly disagreed with them. They suggested that Crix is also United Colony space. I read the letter a little bit differently personally. It says Pirates of the Crimson Fleet have extended far beyond the Crix system, comma, and then later on it says this is no longer a Freestar Collective problem. So if you think about the way the tenses are, it says in the past they were in the Crix system because it's like they've extended far beyond there, so they were just in Crix, and then it also says this is no longer just a Freestar Collective problem. So it seems to me like it's saying it the Freestar Collective problem when they were only in Crix. So to me, that suggests that Crix is actually Freestar Collective. It's one of the three systems in Freestar, and then the other four are indeed United Colony space. I think that's kind of open to interpretation, but that's how I read it. What did you think?
Probably the same.
Yeah, I was really thankful that they posted that because we've known about that letter for months, but I hadn't seen anybody make this connection that hey, these systems are actually we know what faction they're aligned with. If anybody has done that before, I must have missed it because it's a big eye opener for me personally.
Well, didn't they say it's an unsteady alliance or something?
Yeah, an uneasy peace.
Yeah, that was it.
So, oh boy, do you think there could be a second colony war in the game?
If it's anything, I don't want to jump the gun, but if it's like the Civil War, and you get to pick a side, but we're part of Constellation, so I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. To me, the war sounds like the Great War from Elder Scrolls. You know, where basically they had to sign a treaty in the end.
The white gold concordat, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it was heavily in the Falmor's favor, I think.
Yeah. The thing that I thought of was in the real world, the gap between World War One and World War Two was little more than 20 years. It was about 20 years. And that is now the gap from the colony war to the when the game takes place. So I'm hoping player actions can influence whether they go to war again. I think that's a tall order to ask, but that would be the dream.
Yeah.
So we've gone through pretty much all the content that I was hoping to go through. Did you have any closing thoughts about anything?
Not really. I've said pretty much what I want to say.
All right. Awesome. Well, as usual, we like to close each episode with a recommendation from any work of fiction that we think might help you scratch the Starfield itch while we wait for it. So do you want to take the reins to go first?
Yes. I'm probably gonna recommend Chronicle, and it's a 2012 film, and it's like three people get superpowers and one turns evil. It's an indie film that was released in 2012, and I don't know. It's a really interesting concept. I think because like, what if three people got superpowers kind of thing.
Looks cool. Yeah, that sounds cool. Chronicle. Is it streaming anywhere?
It was made by Fox, so if it's not on Disney Plus in the United States, it's going to be on Hulu. But it's on
Okay,
Disney Plus here because we have Star, which is basically Hulu integrated into Disney Plus kind of thing.
got it. All right, cool. Yeah, that movie looks neat. My recommendation for this month is it's kind of an obvious one, but I think it's still really good. Fallout 76, Bethesda Game Studios' most recent game. If you haven't played it, I know a lot of people were turned off to it because of the hiccups at launch and stuff. It is a really solid game now. It's a solid Fallout game in my opinion. It has NPCs, fully fleshed out dialogue, a great world to explore, arguably their best, and a really cool progression system. The perk cards, a kind of unique twist on Bethesda's typical leveling style. And yeah, the one of the things that really gets me excited in regards to Starfield is the diversity in the map, in the environments. You have, I think, 6 regions that are completely different from each other and could come from different games. It's even more diverse than Skyrim, which had a lot of cool different environments. Fallout 4 kind of went away from the different environments, so it was cool to see that diversity go into Fallout. But yeah, if you've been avoiding Fallout 76 because of what happened 3 years ago at this point, I highly recommend you pick it up again, give it an honest look. It is on Game Pass if you have that. And yeah, really solid game. And it's BGS, so how could you not be excited for it? Definitely try it. Yeah, I think that's all we have now. So thank you everybody for listening. This is the Lorefield podcast. We're on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and maybe another place or two. I don't know. Am I missing any?
There's quite a few other ones that we're on, but you can find that on our Anchor profile.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much every podcast platform you can think of, we're there. We're also on Twitter at LoreFieldNet. We're on Reddit, obviously, Lorefield, and we're on YouTube, Lorefield Network. So make sure to follow us in all those places. We're growing really well. It's a really fun community to be a part of. And thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you in a month.
Bye all.